Welcome to Inviting Oneness, a podcast where we explore true stories from friends and members of EquaSion. Stories where the illusion of separateness gave way to the deeper truth of our shared humanity. Oneness isn't an idea, it's an experience. And today, we continue listening for it, one story at a time. Our guest today is Mary Ann Bressler. Mary Ann is the Parish and Community Engagement Coordinator at Catholic Charities, Southwestern Ohio. The poem you'll hear today was written by Mary Ann, and it will open this week's Faith and Friendship Groups. Faith and Friendship Groups are interfaith small groups gathering around a range of themes and practices, including having difficult conversations, prayer and belong dinners, faith communities in solidarity with immigrants, and Sacred Connections, our Religious 101 group that visits different places of worship across the Greater Cincinnati region. Each gathering begins with a poem and a connecting question. In this episode, after sharing her poem, Mary Ann will respond to this connecting question. Where have you experienced belonging in your religious or spiritual life? Where have you experienced belonging in your religious or spiritual life? As you listen, we invite you to reflect on that question for yourself. Here's Mary Ann.
While I have been a lifelong, engaged member of the Roman Catholic Church, it was at St. Anthony Church, Madisonville, where I found the truest sense of belonging. The community satisfied my inmost longing for a community that gathered by choice rather than obligation, that embraced diversity, that regarded service as a natural response to God's love, that believed worship was an action of the entire body, mind, and spirit. I experienced joy in the deep friendships people formed, in the warm welcome extended to anyone who came through the doors. I found the community I had been yearning for.
So, Mary Ann, thanks so much for giving us the gift of your poem to help us open up the Faith and Friendship Groups this coming week. We invited 6 different poets to write poems or prayers to help us orient and begin our time together in these small groups. And each of the poems is connected to an opening question that all the participants will answer. And so you chose the connecting question, where have you experienced belonging in your religious or spiritual life? Where have you experienced belonging in your religious or spiritual life? And that piece that you just wrote came out of that question. But in a non-poetic form, I would love to hear you answer that. Where have you experienced belonging in your religious or spiritual life?
I've been a lifelong Catholic. I've been very engaged in the Catholic religion in different parishes, eventually made that my vocation, basically, well into adulthood. And I had been happy in every community I was a member of. I always found, joy in the worship and meaning and purpose, and loved the communities that I worshiped with and worked for. I don't even think I realized quite what was missing until I started at St. Anthony. The first day I walked into the doors, I just felt this warm embrace from the community. It was a small parish. Everybody knew each other. They were almost aggressive in their welcome sometimes to people. They just were so warm and so excited when a new face came in the door. And as a member of staff, they were just so excited that I was there. And I just quickly realized that the heart of that parish spoke to me so deeply. It was truly a parish where people embrace diversity. It's one of the few diverse communities I had ever been part of. And there was such care to really be attentive to the different cultural elements, the different traditions people brought with them culturally, ethnically. There's this kind of truism, at least in Catholic Church circles where I've worked, that 15% of the people do 85% of the work. And at St. Anthony, it was really, truly 100% of the people will do something. I was shocked that we would need something done and people would say, "Oh, just ask, ask so and so." And nobody ever said no. Nobody said no. Everybody pitched in. Everybody cared about each other. They took care of each other. We continue, a large group of us continue to meet on Zoom every Wednesday just to pray together and catch up with each other. We get together in person a couple times a year, and we have continued that community, that belonging. We've walked with people through cancer. We've walked with people through the deaths of their loved ones, just all of the challenges. And we're an aging community, to be honest. And so there's been quite a lot of that lately. But it just felt like I had found the place that I don't even know if I could have articulated quite how much I was longing for that community that cared about Catholic social teaching, that worshiped. Again, Catholics aren't known for their vibrant congregational singing necessarily. Everybody sang. The choir was remarkable. There was just such joy in the worship and there was such power in it. And the masses were kind of long for Catholics, well over an hour almost every Sunday. And nobody really noticed because we were just having this joyous experience of worship and singing, and everybody participated in the mass. They would have coffee and donuts in between the two liturgies so people from each liturgy could get together. It was such a lovely experience. We did conversations between the liturgies. Every fifth Sunday, we would do a single liturgy so everybody could physically worship together and then have a big celebration afterwards. It filled my soul in a way that I just didn't realize a community could. And I am forever grateful for having been able to be there and work there and serve them as they really served one another and held one another up.
I love that answer so much. The one thing I wanted to focus on here was that in your poem, I think the first characteristic of the community that you identified was that these people gathered by choice rather than obligation.
Yeah.
So I would love just to hear you talk about what did that choicefulness look like?
So St. Anthony was a parish that had people from, I don't know, it's like 45 different zip codes. So while traditionally Catholic parishes have been geographic, that has changed a lot over the past probably 50 years or so. And we had people from the west side, we had people from the east side, we had people every now and then from Kentucky, I think. We had people from northern suburbs of Cincinnati. And people heard about the parish. The choir was outstanding and had been for many, many years. And I think that was often kind of the thing people heard about. But I think they also heard about the fact that it was a community. It was a community that cared about diversity and that cared about social teaching and that really walked the walk. It was really a community of people who came not because it was the closest church, but because it was the church that just offered them the opportunity to live their faith in the particular way that they felt called to.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, thanks so much for being willing to say yes, for using your time to write this beautiful poem for us to help open up our faith and friendship groups this coming week. And yeah, I always love getting to talk to you a little bit. So thanks again. Thanks for joining us on Inviting Oneness, where we share real stories of connection that dissolve the illusion of separation and reveal our common humanity. To learn more about the festival, our work at EquaSion, or to share your own story of oneness, visit us at EquaSion.org. Until next time, may we keep inviting oneness within ourselves and with one another.